Yo, I'm
There we
back.
go.
Apologies, man.
It's all good. We're back.
Yeah, we back. A phone call that came through.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, like, I'll start over. You know, of course, I consider myself an entrepreneur first and foremost, man. And I say, of course, music. That's something that, you know, like most of us, I love doing. Been, you know, just a part of since from a young age. You know, since I was a kid. For real, I grew up. I'm from New York, originally from Brooklyn. Lived in the Bronx and Parkchester as well. And then I lived in Montclair, New Jersey, and went to high school there. So for me, I was always just around it. You know, I'm that age that, like, I grew up through the 80s, through the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, music was just always around me, man. So I've been blessed in that way that I just fell in love, you know? Like, for me, my father collected records, you know? So I was literally born into an apartment full of vinyl, you know? Like, literally, like, you know? So as I learned how to read, you know, I've read record credits and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? As I learned how to read and as I grew, and you know, my father's not from the hip hop era. He was not from the hip hop era, so you know, he had a lot of the, you know, the Lionel Richies and, you know, just a lot of that old soul music, and just good music for real. And that just kind of took me to hip hop. My sister, she's older than I am, so you know, that was dope because I got to get up on shit early for my age. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My sister's like 6 years older than me, you know. So I grew up like my mom, you know, my parents split up and we moved to the Bronx, and you know, my mother was single mom, working, you know, going to night school. So it was always, you got to take your brother to my sister, you know. So I ended up being in the mix of things at a super young age, and just, man, just for real, like getting up on music. And I lived in Parkchester in the Bronx, and yo, at the time in Parkchester, like Sweet T lived there, Joski Love, he had a record called Do the Pee Wee Herman, D Nice lived there for a second, you know what I'm saying? So it was like a lot of people. As I'm in elementary school, I'm seeing D Nice walk through with the Boogie Down Production leather jacket on, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, for me, I was just always around it. And then I moved to Montclair, New Jersey, and in Montclair, Hussein Fatal, Yaki Gaddafi, Young Noble of the Outlaws are all from this town, Montclair, New Jersey. So just crazy coincidence. Like, I end up in like, as soon as I get to school, as soon as I move there, I'm in homeroom with Yafeyu Fulu, who's Yaki Gaddafi. But obviously before he's Yaki Gaddafi, you know what I'm saying? And just connecting with those dudes back to, on the strength of all of us just want to be a part of the culture, and people rapping and you know, after school battles and stuff like that. But I was always the guy who I never rapped, you know. Like, I was always the guy that, like, I saw Crush Groove, and when I saw Crush Groove at a young age, I knew that I wanted to be on the business side of music, you know. Like, I like recognized like Russell Simmons' character in that movie, like, yo, that's the position that I want, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the dude that was like working everything, like, and that just kind of, you know, Paul's turned me on in a sense, you know. Like, and that was my pursuit from there, you know. So I felt like, yo, I want to be a manager. So I was the guy who always like made mixtapes, and you know, and sold mixtapes in high school, and got an internship at Arista Records when I was in high school. And that really kind of solidified to me, like, all right, now I want to really truly pursue this as a career. Once I saw that you can, like, go to work, be comfortable, dress however you wanted to dress, you know what I'm saying, and do what you love. And once I understand, like, how much does he make? How much does this guy make? How much the lady makes? I'm staying here. These people make more than my parents, yo. Like, like, I was like, man, exactly. My mom told me to go to college, what, to be an accountant. These people making more than that. I'm staying here. So yeah, man.
Well, I remember, and this will be fast forwarding a little bit from that time, but like, I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, around like 2006, I was kind of like moving around in the underground, like, Atlanta hip hop scene. And it was around that time that I started to hear about Grand Hustle, like Grand Hustle, T.I., and then all the artists that were on the label, the Young Dros and all of that.
Yeah.
and then I started to hear your name come up because of that.
Sure.
And so that was my first, I think that was the first time that I started to hear about you. So talk about Grand Hustle and how that started with Tip.
Sure. So Grand Hustle initially started as my management company. You know, I moved to Atlanta, started working at Patchwork Studios, and this is like, you know, late '90s when like Rockefeller's on fire, No Limits on fire, you know, and I knew clearly, like I said, I had already interned and sold mixtapes and all of that. So I moved to Atlanta with the purpose of really kind of, I want to get into the music business, you know. So I went to Patchwork, had an internship / job, you know, and during that time I started finding producers to like manage, you know, and I created Grand Hustle Management Company, you know. I found Tip as an artist. We did a demo tape. We got a deal. His original deal was through Ghetto Vision / LaFace Records / Arista, like, you know, and I was Jason Jeter, his manager for Grand Hustle Management, you know, and that first project, you know, it came out. It could have been better, you know, commercial wise, but it gave us the opportunity to get off the label and start our own company, you know, and at that point that we got a release from Arista Records, like we were already doing all our own work. You know what I'm saying? Like I was already like shipping out CDs and doing all kinds of stuff. We was doing shows. So, you know, this is like pre-social media, pre-internet for real, like in the music space, you know? So for people like L.A. Reid and Arista Records being in New York, they didn't see what was happening in the South. You know, most of these albums that were being sold at that time, you know, from Tip's first album, I'm Serious, were like all bootlegs. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, they're like, yo, look at the sound scan. We don't see nothing on sound scan. But then you turn around and every gas station you pull up on got the CDs right there, you know? So we were able to kind of take advantage of that in a sense, you know, on hindsight, being that they didn't see, but we actually knew what was happening. And we actually had the confidence to say to them, like, yo, nah, like, if y'all don't do this, like, just give us a release. Because they didn't know what we knew, you know? And they looking at us like, yo, they're not selling nothing. Get out of here. Go. Like, go. Don't worry about it. So, you know, once we got that release at that point, we had like, you know, we started doing the mixtapes. I don't know if you remember that, like the In the Streets, Volume 1, Volume 2. And that was like when Grand Hustle started. You know, me and Tip looked at each other. It was like, yo, we got to do our own company. We've been putting in work already. And I'm like, what do you want to call it? He's like, we should always like Grand Hustle. So why don't we just call it Grand Hustle? I'm like, all right, go. Like, no more Grand Hustle Management. Well, actually, at that point, it was Grand Hustle Management and Grand Hustle Records at that point, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So at what point, I know you guys had a partnership with Atlantic?
Sure.
At what point did that happen?
So we put out 2 mixtapes. We put out In the Streets Volume 1 and Volume 2. And we created, you know, some traction for ourselves, and we created a bunch of options. You know, we met with Def Jam, Bad Boy, Epic Records at the time, Universal, you know, and we partnered with Atlantic Records because Craig Kalman was willing at that time to do the deal that we really wanted to do, structure-wise.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, man, I think people forget, like, just how many artists you guys helped at Grand Hustle. Like,
sure,
not just Tip, but
sure,
Bob and Travis Scott.
Yeah.
Young Dro, who's like an Atlanta legend to me, at least.
Dro's a legend for sure. It's a lot of people. Yeah.
You know, so talk about some of those. Like, how did you guys get to working with Travis?
Travis, okay. Travis, man, DJ MLK introduced me to Travis Scott. You know, he showed me his video. I saw his video immediately. Like, it resonated to me. So I was like, yo, can you get dude on the phone? Somebody said I'm in Augusta. What up to Augusta? Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Augusta. That's my family. My mother's side of the family's from Augusta, Georgia. That's a whole nother story. But so when I got on the phone with Travis, like, yo, I was in Atlanta, he was in LA, It might have been like a Thursday, and I was actually already going to LA maybe like the next day. So on Saturday, I ended up meeting with him in person, you know, and we met. My homegirl, she had a store on Melrose, rest in peace. She actually just passed. She had a store on Melrose, like a vintage store called Chuck's Vintage. And I met him, told him to come meet me at the vintage shop. You know what I'm saying? Like, because from the beginning, like, you know, I could tell, like, Travis, you into shit. You just, you know, not the regular. So I'm into shit. So I'm like, yo, let's meet over here on another, you know, in another world for real. You know, we met over there, spent some hours just kicking it, talking. And I think I left like on that Monday, you know, and it was wild because Travis was supposed to actually go and have a meeting with, I think, Atlantic Records like that Monday or that Tuesday. I forget the sequence exactly, you know. I left. By the time I got back to Atlanta, dude had hit me and he was like, yo, like, shit, fuck that meeting. Like, I'm trying to get back up with you. Like, what up? Like, so I flew him out to Atlanta, and yeah, I flew Travis. Is the craziest thing, right? I flew him out, and like the next day, Shanique Gonzalez calls me. Shanique Gonzalez, a friend of mine, she was an A&R at Epic Records at the time. So she calls me, and L.A. Reid's newly at Epic. Future's like the only artist that's popping at Epic, you know. And she calls me, and she's like, yo, I heard you got this kid, Travis Scott. I'm like, I'm like, how the fuck do you even know this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I know, well, how do you even know this? Like, nobody even know Travis. Like, how do you know this? But it was crazy, and this is like I'm just giving the details because you show how things work, you know. And at the time, she had an intern that had turned her on to Travis's music. Now, mind you, dude's video had like 500 views on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So it was very small. He might have had like, you know, not even 2,000 followers on Instagram at this time, you know. But coincidentally, her intern turned her on to the music, and she fell in love like instantly. And it wasn't, once again, this is no numbers, right? This is no numbers, you know. And she falls in love, and I'm just bugging. I'm like, wow, he didn't even get here yet. He's on the way. Like, and she's like, yo, I'm coming to Atlanta. And literally, she comes to Atlanta like the next day. And mind you, excuse me, L.A. Reid is over at Epic Records. L.A., we got a great relationship, you know. Obviously, the tip didn't work out, so, but it did work out. So for him, you know, it's one of those things, right? It's like, fuck, I missed out on that. What else you got going on, you know? So we had already been having conversations. He had already, you know, kind of, you know, in talks like, hey, I got this label, Epic, bring me something, like, what's going on? Like, come over here, help me get this going. So we had already been having these talks. So really, when Shanique hit me, it was cool because it was just in-house. So it made all the sense in the world, you know? So now at that point, she comes to Atlanta, and literally, like, I did a deal with Travis, like, honestly, within like a week, you know, of time. He had a lawyer and the whole nine, like, you know what I'm saying? But we really chilled in Atlanta for like a week, man, and we got our paperwork done because I had just met him. So I didn't even have my paperwork done yet, you know? So I was like, before you meet anyone else, like, you know what I'm saying? Let's handle our business, you know? And we got our paperwork done. And then like the following week, we went up to New York and met L.A. Reid, and he signed a deal on the spot. You know, did the deal, you know, in the room on the spot. And that's how that came about, you know. And then I left New York, and of course, then Travis goes on and meets Kanye, and and
the rest is history.
The rest is history. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. So as an exec, right? What, you know, you've obviously worked with a lot of artists. What are some of the biggest challenges in launching a new artist's career today?
Today, some of the biggest challenges, I mean, you know, how new is new, right? That's like a trick question for real, you know?
I guess like, if you met like a Travis Scott today,
absolutely.
You know, like what are the biggest challenges that you face in helping them launch their career?
Yep, sure, for sure. So I have my new company, Heavy Sound Labs, and I'm literally finding artists early stage, just as I did Travis, just as I did T.I. and so many others for real. So that's really what I've always done. So I really kind of I get pleasure out of helping create, develop from zero.
Yeah.
And today, I mean, it's a million challenges because there's a lot of competition, right? Like technology has made things so accessible. There's a million distribution companies, so you have so much competition out there. But for me, I think that it's still really about substance, and it's really about doing like dope shit for real. You know what I'm saying? Doing things that's gonna be like remembered, and consistently. That's the other part. Like a lot of times, an artist will put so much energy into doing something, and once they shoot a piece of content or whatever that something is, once it comes out, it's like, okay, like now what's next? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that those are some of the real true challenges is you have to do dope shit consistently, and you have to grow your numbers for real. I think that a lot of people truly wanted the easy way, the fast way, the microwave way. A lot of people really don't, like, when you think about the Nipsey Hussle saying it's a marathon.
Yeah.
What the marathon, whatever that is, that's real, man. That's not just a cute saying. That's some real shit. And so many artists today, I feel like, don't really, they want to cut the line and they immediately expect to get on a playlist, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, it's like, I feel like a lot of artists make excuses like, yo, if I'm not, rest in peace, Nipsey, without a doubt. If you're not on the playlist is everything. Like, that's your strategy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need to get on the playlist, and whoever you're working with, if they didn't get you on the playlist, they're doing a terrible job because you didn't get me on the playlist. To me, I truly equate playlists. Playlist today is the modern, I mean, big playlist, the playlist that everybody's trying to get on. Those are radio stations now.
Yeah.
It's no different. So it's no different than going down to your local radio station, V103, Hot 97, Power 105, whatever that is, and waiting at the entry of the door. And when Ebro or DJ Funk Flex or Greg Street or Baby, whoever the hot person is, hey, can you play my record tonight? Like, it's no difference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what
It's
rap
like,
caviar is. It's like,
that's what rap caviar is, man. That shit
yeah.
is the wake up show. Like, the more, you know what I'm saying? Like the Breakfast Club, whatever you want to call it. Like, yo, it is that. So I feel like that's something that a lot of artists have to keep in mind, man, that you have to show up. You have to show up, consistently with your best energy and efforts every time. You can't get frustrated.
I think creatives get in their own way a lot. Like all the insecurities, all the fears of what people will think about them or their music, wanting everything to be perfect before you just go out and do something. That's what I see a lot, is like so many creatives want everything to be picture perfect before they go out and execute, and it never is that way. I know that nothing is ever going to be perfect. You just have to do it.
Listen, man, I started right now with my new company, Heavy Sound. I literally look at creatives as founders, CEOs of companies for real, and because no matter what, the artists that I've worked with directly or just have been around, friends have worked with, and I've seen like everything happen from the beginning. The common denominator of all of the success is the energy, is the relentless energy that these guys had, not the talent. So to me, I really create this company with these thoughts for real. Like, hey, I want to invest in artists just in a smarter way, and I want to partner with artists and have a smarter relationship with them. I think T.I. is a great example, someone who, from zero, we started working together, and you look, this dude is like an entrepreneur. He's doing all kinds of things, Travis Scott, he's doing all kinds of things, so like, for me, like those are the artists that I'm interested in, right? Artists that have that type of, you know, ability for real, you know. And man, you gotta look at your business with a business hat on. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just be all artists, you know, because I agree with you, man. Like that's the scary part is in today's world, an artist has to be like a marketer, a camera person, a PR, a director, a producer, an engineer. Like, yo, you gotta have a lot of jobs, man. Like, but at the end of the day, when the shit works, it's all worth it. So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you're not willing to do it, it's probably not gonna work today.
Yeah, I agree. So talk about why did you, when you put, well, first of all, for anyone that doesn't know what Heavy Sound Labs is, just talk about that. Like, what is Heavy Sound Labs?
Heavy Sound Labs, everyone can go to the website, go to heavysound.com, and you can check it out, right? It's a modern day record company. I said I wanted to do a record company today, 2020. I just started this year in 2020. DJ MLK, what up, boy? I was just talking about you.
Yeah.
But I said I wanted to create a company in 2020 and operate on ways of today for real, you know, as opposed to when I started, you know, my previous company, I don't know, in 2020, you know, 2000, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, so Heavy Sound Labs is a modern day record company, but it's also community based as well, you know? So now I said in today's space, I would love to be able to, if I have an artist, actually amplify my artists. What we're talking about, if you're getting these new artists and you're partnering with them, we know that the hardest thing for an artist, a new artist to do is get someone to promote their music. You know, your own friends won't promote your music. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right,
your friends won't co-sign you until somebody else does. Like it's a dirty game, you know? So I say like, yo, more than anything, I come from the era of you want to go to a media company, an outlet to help promote your artist, to amplify, you know, the exposure. And you know, magazines are gone now, you know. We saw the blog site era, so we just know what that means, you know. So I said I want to create a community of creatives, of like-minded, you know, creatives for real, you know, that we can network and talk, communicate with each other. So we have a Slack channel with a few hundred people in it, you know, and we're all talking all day long, sharing information, sharing articles. So now in this community, you have tons of creatives, young managers, people who want to be A&Rs, you know, journalists, photographers, you have artists, you know, but we're just sharing information. And as we grow our community, we, you know, we just have different okay, I know the phone was tripping for a second. So we have a community, and we've also partnered with 6 artists so far this year throughout the pandemic as well. So we do have artists, which is like the basic part, you know, but now I want to be able to say to my community, hey guys, on Monday at 1 o'clock, we're going to all promote Lingo, you know, from New Orleans. We're going to promote Lingo. We're going to hashtag John Wick, you know, and be able to activate my community and help, you know, socialize ourselves for real, and just everyone like pitching in, you know, and doing what good communities do, right? Big ADG all started great. Absolutely. My guy all started great. He's an artist that we partnered with. He's another dope story. This dude all started great. He had a mixtape that he had online already. And he had like Benny the Butcher on records and shit like that. And I said to him, like, yo, bro, why don't you like take that down and let's re-release that together, and let me help you get more traction out of that. You know, you've already done the work, you know. He did that, took it down. We were able to get him a premiere through Fader, you know, which kind of gave him a lot of access and worked him, you know, on the circuit. This is in the middle of the height of the pandemic, rather, too, when everyone was doing what we're doing right now, right? Everyone, LA Leakers and all of the DJs, you know, Cosmic Kev out of Philly, everybody was just kind of doing the online interviews and open mics and letting people rap and all of that stuff. So, you know, he got a lot more traction than he had already gotten out of something that he had already produced and created, you know. So I think that with Heavy Sound Labs, that's something that I really believe in, there's a million artists that have already done the work. You know, it's just about really helping you know, strategize and roll the work out, and helping them, you know, once again push strategy to consistently release things so that they can really catch momentum to actually build and gain traction. You know, so
That's
yeah.
interesting. So what made you, I mean, because you've been a part of a traditional record label with Grand Hustle,
Sure.
but now you're kind of transitioning to this new age of record label. Like what made you want to do that instead of just starting, you know, a traditional label? What made you think about it differently and approach that differently?
I'm Kato. I know we don't, you know, I'm the kind of person that I'm always looking forward, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always looking forward. I believe that that's real. It's like, yo, we gotta, you know our history and all of that, do our research, but like, where is it going? Like,
Yeah.
I already know where it's been. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I started actually investing in companies, you know, about 5 years ago. I started, you know, figuring out how to make investments in the tech companies and the startups, you know. And as I'm making these investments, I'm meeting people, I'm learning new things, you know. So now as I'm learning new things, I'm learning, you know, even ways to invest in companies. What do VCs look in? What are their practices, you know? And I'm comparing some of the new information I'm learning to the stuff that I already knew, you know. And now I'm like, wow. So I've always been like a venture capitalist in a sense. I just invested this way, you know. So now I'm just kind of comparing the information, and naturally, shit, I called the company Grand Hustle from the beginning, right? So you know that you know that's what I'm on. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna figure out the play. So as I'm learning, I'm like, okay, like, you know what? I think that there's new ways to apply this information to this business for real. You know, I think it's smarter ways. You know, I think that you know, clearly in 2020, 21, we know that artists, yo, you should have ownership. You know, that doesn't mean you should own everything, you know, but you should have ownership. You know, if someone else is there, now you have partnerships, you know. So I really looked at what I've done already in the past, and I said, I've already done this just in the physical. Now let me take everything that I've done in the physical and let me apply it into, boom, you know, 2020, the digital, and, you know, and see how we created, you know, movies, you know, clothing brands, multiple clothing brands, you know. So, you know, you have those things that are there that exist, but you have to look forward and say, okay, like, what's the next frontier of things for artists to get into as well? Like, that's there. We know that. You know, I know who to call. I can call the other guys I got money with. I can call them back. I got another play. You know what I'm saying? But for real, like, what's, you know, beyond now? You know, now we're seeing, of course, Travis, a great example, Fortnite and all of that. So, you know, we look at what's happening in the digital art space and the 3D space and the blockchain space, you know, and those are the conversations that we have to be in. I feel like we want to win for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Damn, bro, I feel like there's so many things that I want to ask. It's like my mind is going in so many different directions, but I think because a lot of my audience is like aspiring creatives, right? They're all aspiring artists, producers, engineers, DJs, stuff like that. What advice would you give to a new artist that doesn't really have a social media following, maybe has a little bit of music out there, but like really wants to take their shit to the next level organically? They don't have a budget. You know, they don't really have the connections and resources like that. What would your advice to them be as an executive and someone that worked with artists?
I want to say shout out to my little cousin Leroy Stoney here in the building. I see him. He's that dude that you just mentioned. He's an artist. He engineers, you know. I know he's producing, you know what I'm saying? So I'll give the same advice that I'm giving to my little cousin, literally, that's on here as that kid that's in that position, to everyone. Like, yo, you gotta become as self-efficient as possible. If you don't have the, you know, if you don't have any money, like, yo, you can't wait on people. You know what I'm saying? So you got to learn how to be the artist. You got to learn how to, if you're not the producer, you better have a producer standing next to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys need to be a unit. Like, hey, there's a reason why Manny Fresh was with Cash Money, and all of these movements had a producer tied to it. You don't have to go around and fish for beats. Let's build together. We're investing in this together. T.I. had DJ Toomp. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we're investing in this together. You're going to create a sound that's unique for me. Our shit is going to be cohesive, which means it's going to be consistent as well, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to consistently come with the same thing for real, you know? So at the end of the day, I feel like, back to an artist, you have to create your own team, create people that are investing in you, that are believing you, that are working, and incentivize them as well. Don't use them. Incentivize them in ways, you know, so that they can really truly put their all into it and benefit with the growth of things. That's something else that I feel like in today's game, like, deals, they got to change, man. Like, for real, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because people, you know, artists, a lot of artists, got to keep it funky. Like, a lot of artists will use people until they get to a better option. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that in today's world, you got to really create your own little unit and truly build together. And there's so many outlets. There's so many social media platforms. There's so many, and these are all just tools, you know, for artists to create their own network. And now when you're creating your own network, you got to think like a television network, NBC, ABC, whatever that is, right? And what do? They program out every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever's happening. This is what's going down on my network. So to me, I say to artists, you got to look at TikTok, Instagram, fucking Twitch, Clubhouse, wherever people are at. You know what I'm saying? Like,
speaking of Clubhouse, are you? I'm sure you're on Clubhouse. Have you like taken the time to participate and like jump in any conversations?
Man, I've been on Clubhouse, man. I've been having conversations on that thing. Like, yeah, I have been. Have you been on yet? Like, conversation wise or anything?
I'm on it. I just feel like every time I'm on, there've been some interesting like rooms that I popped into and listened to. A couple like producer beat battle things, which is interesting that it can happen in like a virtual space like Clubhouse now.
Yep.
I think there are some definitely good conversations happening there, but then there's just also a lot of just like people talking shit. You know?
You think about this though, right? It's social media.
It's social media.
So it's like everything.
It's the newest social media platform.
So everything you have, like on the picture side, like you said, we go on boom Instagram. You got the motivational picture. You got everything on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So Clubhouse is just the vocal version, right? You want to talk ratchet. You want to talk about stocks, and you want to talk about this. You want to talk about that, but you know, it's interesting. I think it's a good networking tool. I actually have a club on Clubhouse called the Heavy House, you know, and I've been doing conversations. I've been doing something every now and then called E-Trade and Coffee. But in general, you know, just talking about programming, that's something that, you know, you got to put that on your list now. Clubhouse is real. It's here. It's a great way for people to network, and it's another tool. You know, you use it or it's going to use you. You got to be purposeful about how you approach things, you know?
Right.
Yeah, as you know.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely know that.
Yeah.
Do you think in 2021 touring will come back like full force like it was before 2020? Like what are you looking towards in 2021 to happen with the music industry in particular? Because a lot of things have been put on hold since COVID.
I mean, personally, man, I don't see how, like you said, like pre-pandemic, I don't see how like shows really happen like that in 21. Like 21 is just a year, you know, what's 2 days from now. Like, you know,
yeah.
But to me, like thinking like a year from today, I don't see how where we're at right now, how a year from now we're like at the fucking Phillips Arena or at the Rolling Loud show. Like I don't see I don't see it like that, right? You know, so I think that
Do you think it'll happen slower into 2022? Like,
yeah, personally, I feel like just common sense wise, I feel like it's you know, if we're gonna be safe and we're gonna be for real, you want to be greedy, you can run down run out there and shit. You're just gonna cause you to run back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if we're gonna be safe and responsible the right way, I personally think 22 for real. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that financially, but that's what I think. Like, talking about safety wise, and moving forward in a real way, and not just setting ourselves back on and back and forth, right? Playing games with ourselves. But I think that I think it's just still about taking advantage of the time, taking advantage of the time and creating other revenue streams, creating other businesses. There's a lot that you can develop. I think, if for established artists, man, this should be a great time for established artists. Like, for real, my opinion. Like, if you're an established artist and you're not like doing a lot of good shit, you need to switch your team around. Like, because I feel like you got so much time to develop right now.
Yeah. So
much time to develop. It's incredible.
That's true. We see how 2020 went for Travis. Like, he might have had the best year of his career.
But what's interesting? A lot of that stuff he actually had planned even before pandemic.
Right.
That's the interesting part. Yeah. So he like the timing, like, just really maximized because he had everyone's attention time wise. Just sitting there. But yeah,
is he still signed to Grand Hustle?
Travis, all of his albums so far has been on Grand Hustle. We just did a deal. His next album is not going to be on Grand Hustle. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got to exit.
Got you.
I'm talking that
talk. Dope, man. Well, shout out. Where can people find out more about Heavy Sound Lab? Website, social media, all that kind of stuff.
Everyone can go to heavysound.com, go to the website, check us out. Like I said, you can hit the artist tab if you're an artist, or you can hit the heavy crew tab if you want to join the community. Shout out to Mystic the Girl. There's another heavy sound artist that we partnered with. Arzu, I don't know if Arzu's in here. Big Rez, what up, Big Rez? I see you. I'm just kind of looking up this thing a little bit, looking for some artists, man. But I'm really excited, man, about next year. We did a retreat. We did our first artist retreat last month, and we came together for the first time. Mystic the Girl, Arzu, artists that I partnered with throughout this time, just online, that I had never even met before in person, So we all came together at Serenbe, which is like a property, 1,500 acres. We were able to social distance the right way and all of that. Great place, right? We created 2 studios in different cabins, and recorded music, documented the whole process. Amir, what up, Amir? My guy, documented the whole process, so, that's something that we just did, and that was a great experience. We're putting that out, rolling that out content-wise, the top of next year. So, there's a lot of exciting stuff.
So anyone can go on Heavy Sound Lab and just like submit their music to you? Is that how it works? And then you guys go through the process of like...
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Yep, so we go through the process. As simple as that. Any artist, go to heavysound.com, hit the artist tab, and it's a series of questions designed to flow as if we're having a conversation with each other. Hey, what's your name? Where you from? What's your Instagram page? What's your YouTube? What's your this? What's your that? Submit it. We review it. If we like what we see, we hit you back with a second round of questions. A little bit more psychological questions. What are you looking for? What's your goals? And then at that point, if we like what you're talking about in the second round, we go to like a Zoom call and, Zoom, have a conversation and onboard you or not. A lot of artists will be too early, and when I say too early, that's back to too early because you're not really putting out a lot of content. Not right. Too early because you only have 4,000 followers, because honestly, everyone that we've partnered with so far doesn't really have a lot of numbers at all. Right. You know what I'm saying? But really, we're really truly looking to see like, yo, do you have the ability, once again, like I said, how self-efficient are you for real? Mystic, she's one, she's in the room right now. She's one. Her and her partner, Arzu, they live together in Miami. They have an apartment together. They record together. They shoot their own videos. They engineer their music. You know what I'm saying? So to me, we could look at them and say like, wow, their numbers we need to work on that. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you can release music consistently, we can create a schedule, we can actually work on these things together, you know? Right. So those are, you know, that's really how I'm looking to approach it, because once again, I've had success with people from zero. So I'm not afraid to, you know, go there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey man, I love it. I love what you're doing with Heavy Sound. Make sure y'all go check that out. Heavy Sound, heavysound.com, right?
Heavysound.com, absolutely.
Heavysound.com. Follow Jason on Instagram. Jason, appreciate you. Appreciate your time, bro.
Man, appreciate you, man. Have a great New Year, man.
Likewise.
And everyone listening, have a great New Year, for real.
As soon as the pandemic is over, bro, we got to get up again.
Let's do it, for sure. Hopefully it'll be soon, man.